Hello, my name is Marco Larousse, and I'm the director of the German Street Photography Festival. And we are celebrating this festival here for 4 days in Hamburg at the Photopia imaging. Well, it's a festival, really. And we have decided that our German Street Photography Festival is a festival inside the Photopia Festival. So we have a big stage, we have different kind of exhibitions for street photography. And we wanted to reach out this time, as this is our second festival, German Street Photography Festival. We had one in 2019, and there was a little break due to Corona that we were not able to happen live. Now, this is a hybrid event. We have a live audience here, and we have all of you all over the world, which we're really happy and thankful for that the technology allows us to do this. So today we reach out to the world with our first English. The title for this talk is Events Turn into Photo Projects. It's presented by Parolin, who is a photographer, street photographer, and she has written many books. She's an author. She's been on to many exhibitions, and she's always a joy to listen to. So I welcome Parolin to the stage.
Thank you very much, Marco. I'm very happy for this invitation, Marco. Thank you very much. And schön, dass ihr alle da seid live. Und hello to everybody who's following through the internet. So my talk will be about. Oh, these colors are really flashy. Well, it's about how to develop as a photographer and how to turn from taking pictures into making series and projects. So I will speak in a sequence that starts with a special event that happened, and then I go to how this turned into a series and what the development looked like. And then I will talk a bit about thoughts and inspiration and about where we are today with all of this. So the event is, oh my God, these colors are really poo. Well, I like bright colors, so today we have really bright colors. So this is a place where I spend a long time of my life. It's on the French Riviera in Nice, where you have this beautiful long promenade, and where I enjoyed the colors, which are not as fancy as here, but almost, I think they are really popping out. Anyway, so it's a very colorful place, a very lively place. And I started to take photos on this promenade with kind of a stereotype being directed towards the scene with this minimalistic approach. And this was in June of 2016 when I first started to take this kind of picture on the promenade. And just 1 month later, there was a terror attack where a big truck rolled over the people, and more than 80 people were killed and more than 300 were in the hospital. So it was really dramatic, very traumatic, as you can imagine. My kids were there as well, so they are safe. But it was something, obviously, that was very emotional for a long time. I decided to come back. I decided in December, so not even half a year later, I decided that I wanted to come back to take my photos, because that was my kind of answer to this terror attack, that I don't want other people to take the colors from my life and the happiness. And so since it was a bit depressed, or really depressed in the beginning, I started with black and white, then I turned into color, but not really color, with a very extreme white balance that I used here. And then I started to find some really nice, relaxing moments, and I started to relax myself. I started to feel comfortable with this. And so I made a lot of photos, and they are all taken in a similar way, in a similar angle, but if you look at them, they don't really match. I mean, they have some things in common, but I don't see this as a really good series. So I started to focus a bit more on things that could go together. And I started to take pictures like this afterwards, which are very similar, not really perfectly matching, but more of a coherent series. Or things like this, where you see that different pictures taken on different days can be put together and tell each picture its own story, but all together they tell more than this one single story of each picture. So once I had put up this series, I enjoyed these peaceful moments. I asked myself, so what next? Will I go on forever, increasing the series and taking these same old photos all the time, or will I change? And so I really took some time to reflect about my development. It was not something that just happened, but I found it important to analyze what has happened so far, where am I now, and where do I want to go as a street photographer. And I realized that with this success that I had with this series, because it was exposed in several cities and it's still touring all over Germany, and so I thought I will use this wave, this powerful moment, to also give back something. So not only go out in the streets and take photos of other people, but try to give the people something back. Not really like this exposition where you give photos back that the people can take, but something where I can really share what I get from the street in a different way. So at first I realized that it's not only about photography. I mean, it's nice to I take my camera, I have 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and I go out to the promenade and I enjoy my afternoon. But I understood that it's not only about the good pictures that I want to take, but the whole package is important. So what is this whole package? It's not just go out and take, but it's also share and give something back. So I started to work with the group of underage migrants who live nearby, and I went to these Jewish retirement homes to entertain the people, just to show them photos. And it was very nice because these old women, there was mostly women, there are some men also, they looked at the photos and they said, that's a place that I spent so much time, but I haven't been there in ages because I cannot walk, because I cannot drive down. So they were really enjoying these little moments. And that's something that I think is also in the spirit of everybody here. That this is about the spirit of these exhibitions, that we give something back to the community. I like this very much, this sharing. I also went to the association which helps the victims and the survivors of this terror attack. That was a bit more tricky because it's really difficult to show these people who are really, who maybe lost someone. I cannot just show them these happy, colorful pictures of the promenade. So I started a dialogue, we talked about this, and I did also some workshops with younger kids to just get other pictures into their heads. So we did not go down to take pictures on the promenade, no, not there. But I tried to tell them that they can use art and creativity to think about other things. And this project is still going on. It's the Not Afraid project, which is born from Boris Buchinski. He's from Berlin. He's a photographer from Berlin. And he works with all the cities in Europe who suffered an Islamistic terrorist attack. So we have all these, I think it's more than 20 cities where we have photographers meeting, talking to the people. So it's a big sharing. And for me, it was also very rewarding because I got so much more creative. I didn't just go out and take photos and then put them on my computer and eventually print one or the other. But I started to have new ideas. So I developed this project with some kids where we had a puzzle on top of a photo, and this symbolizes that you can take off the bad things and below comes up again the beautiful life. And so these were the different steps that this event this really unhappy event took. So what I learned from this project, from this series that evolved, is that we never should stop learning. We have to recognize the moment and use it. That's something that we always do in street photography. And it's all about passion. We have to feel this passion, we have to apply it and play around like children. And that's something for us. But then we have also to develop it further. And I like the words of W. Eugene Smith, who says, passion. So Eugene Smith said, passion is in all great searches and is necessary to all creative endeavors. I think everybody here knows that this is one of the big motivations that we have. And so the passion is for us, for ourselves, but then we have these photo projects, and where do we get with these? Where do we take them? And where do they take us? So in order to set up a project or a series that we can share and that can have a perspective, I think the first thing is to really focus on a theme. This seems almost ridiculous. Obviously, we have a theme. We go out and take photos. But very often, we do not really know what we want to take. Which emotions do we want to capture? Which message do we want to transmit? And once we have an idea, we should narrow it down to something very simple. It's often we have really complicated ideas and think it's more intellectual if it's more complicated. Well, it's not. Usually, the more simple it is, the better, because then people understand. If it's too complicated, then I always have to explain everything around it. And if it's some really easy message, an easy idea, then it's a lot better. And it's also important that you choose something realistic. Can I come back to take photos to complement my series? Or is it just an event that happened once and I will not be able to continue it? So this is important. If you plan a project or a series, then be aware of how realistic is it that you come back and can complete your series, but because you will not do it in one afternoon or in a week of one holiday. It's good to have it evolving and to come back whenever you have the time, maybe after a year or 2 years, because then you have matured and you can see things in a more distantiated way, and so you can reflect better on it. So, as I said before, it's important to focus on what we want and to set a clear, specific frame. Really, okay, this is my project, and this is the limit, because otherwise it starts to get too vast and the message gets less clear. When I set up the series, then I choose my photos, or I have all these hundreds of photos, and I have to really narrow it down and understand what do I want my pictures to have in common. How do they get together? By content, by the type of photography, by the light, by the colors, all these different things. And then I try to keep the thread going within the series. So I need to tell a story also with the series. I have something like an introduction photo, then I have the series which develops, and something like an end. This is the optimum. And I think this is the most difficult. Stay on it. Because it's very easy or very fun, very much fun. You have a new idea and you're full of passion and say, wow, this is a great idea. So I go, I take my photos, and then I go a second time and a third time. And the fourth time I already say, well, I would like to do something else now. And maybe I have another idea and I say, now this idea is really cool. So in the end I have 10 projects which are all halfway. And in the end, I lose the passion for it, and I lose the energy to bring them to an end. So stay on it. And very often, especially if you manage to have one series which works, then the bar is set quite high, and the next series shouldn't be lower than that. That's what people expect. That's what I expect from myself. But that's something that can inhibit also. So try to stay open for a new project, that you don't say, okay, if the first project was such a success, the second one has to be an even bigger success. I think it's important to just try out and try and play, and maybe the second project doesn't work, but maybe it's even better. So things will develop. And someone asked me, how do you get these pictures? I mean, this is in a museum here in Hamburg. I said, well, I know what I'm looking for. So I go into a museum, I have my series in my head and waiting at home, and I know what I'm looking for. And so I find these situations. And if you go to a museum and you start looking at the people and not only at the art, you will find situations like this over and over again. It's something that, you need the selective perception to understand. So once I have that idea, I know what I want, I know what I'm looking for, and even though in the street most things are out of my control, I can find them. Another really difficult thing is the selection of the images. Once I have 100 images and I need only 10, it's so difficult to do this with my own photos. It's very easy if I have someone who presents me his series, I say, this is out, that's all easy. But with my own photos, it's very difficult. So it's important to learn to choose critically from the variety of images that you created, and set the bar high. Don't be too generous with yourself. And really don't have mercy. If there is a picture that you really like, but it just doesn't match with the other series, it has to get out. And you can eventually create another series around this picture. Maybe you'll find another 2 or 3 pictures that match. But even if it's a good photo, if it doesn't match the series, it doesn't match the series. And there is this thing that is called the curse of knowledge. I know that in a certain situation, I took a photo, it was raining, it was cold, and the photo was great, but it's not really matching the series. But it was so hard to get it. And I really want this photo to stay in because it was so cold and I was waiting for such a long time. But that's something that only I know. That's my knowledge. You don't know this. So why should this photo stay inside? But it's something that seems very logical if you sit here and listen to me now. But as soon as you look at your photos, you really have to get rid of this curse of knowledge. So again, don't give up. Over time, you will get excited as you get more and more great shots. And this also motivates you to keep on going, because you can narrow down your series to 10. But if you go out again and you find another 1 or 2 really great shots, you can replace other 2. So your series gets stronger over time. And also enjoy serendipity. I like this word. It's everywhere now. Everybody speaks about serendipity. But that's what street photography is about. We have to learn to find the moment, to see it, to be prepared. And then when you have a project focus on something, that is what makes your series really strong. Often I choose to find my composition before and then just wait for something to happen, for someone to step into the composition. And what I enjoy the most is to be in really normal, simple places, and not, I mean, everybody's able to buy an expensive plane ticket, go somewhere very exotic and take photos of exotic places. That is rather easy, I would say. It's a lot more difficult to just go downstairs and take these kind of photos right next door. And so this way you can kind of forge your destiny, because you are the one who chooses where to set up your camera and which frame to choose. And then once you have focused, you can always readjust. You can change your project a bit in this direction, a bit in that direction. That's not prohibited, but try to stay on it. It's important to really develop a good idea beforehand and then just go into it. And don't forget to observe, to watch, to look. I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes I walk through the cities and I have this tunnel vision and I just see this one thing that I'm looking after. And this is what helps us. It's really something, my selective vision helps me to find the things. I go to a place and I see these light spots at once, and I see the people who are in the light. And others see the lines like Siegfried. So that's something that you can train. You will see red cars once you start looking for red cars. You will see them everywhere. So the two key points are really, first, set up a strong, high, well-defined bar. Where do you want to go, and what is your goal? And then continuously go back to the same focus and to the same place maybe, so that you have a large number of photos that you can select from, but then you choose very critically which photos you want in your series. And give your series a title and write it down. That helps. It's really something that once you write it down, you have a clear title, it stays in your head. And when you go out to shoot more photos, you will have them more precisely linked to the theme that you're working on. And I also always write a small abstract. That's for myself, or sometimes I use it for an exhibition or for something. But it helps to write a short text, because it forces you to focus what is important in my little project, what is important in my series. And this way it can become a story, and you know better what you're looking for, and the others become interested, and you can also develop a dialogue. I think it helps the clarity. And again, yes, just stay on it. There is someone who said movement is not necessarily progress. You can also turn and turn and turn, but it's better to move in a direction so that you can evolve. So don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done. That's the moment when your series has an end. It's not when you just feel like, I don't want to go out anymore, so I declare my series as completed. The series is completed when it's really completed, and you know it. You know that the series is really well done, or it's like, okay, it's good enough. So it's up to you to really make up your mind, where do I want to end my series? And Ansel Adams said something that I like. He said, you don't make a photograph just with a camera. You bring the act of photography to the act of photography, all the pictures you have seen, the books you have read, the music you have heard, and the people you have loved. So it's all your emotions, they can come into your photos. Sometimes it's important to make the effort to think differently. If you want to present a project on something that is going on, a theme that is really important to you, it's maybe easy to follow the normal ways, to do things that have been done before. So always try to think out of the box, to bring in your own artistic view. And as Johan Michael said, he said, I'm a poet, a photographic poet. So bring more poetry into your photos. And it's really easy to make photographs today. Everybody has their cameras all the time. But this is also what makes it so difficult, because everybody's taking photos on the street all the time. And we are flooded with all these photos. So it's getting more and more difficult to have something really different, really out of the box. I like this thing that Björn Mörman wrote down only a few weeks ago. He is a pilot living in Dubai and a great photographer. And he wrote down on Instagram, he said, you buy a phone and you become a photographer. You buy a violin and you become the owner of a violin. I think that makes totally sense. I buy a violin, but I will not be able to play the violin. I really have to practice. But it's the same with photography. Only because I possess a cell phone or a nice camera, I'm not the real photographer. I have to practice. I have to learn and understand and develop. I think it's really something that sometimes we forget. We just need to spend a lot of time with our cameras and with our creativity and looking at photos of other people and develop our own thoughts. So where do I get inspiration and ideas from? I really like to go to expositions, to vernissage, to exhibits of other people. I like to look at books. I just like to feel them and look at the beautiful photos and really look at them. Not just like Instagram where you scroll and you see something nice, maybe you have it a bit bigger, but I really try to really absorb the emotions of the photos that I see. I listen a lot to podcasts, creative podcasts, where people talk about their own experiences and their projects. Facebook, Instagram, yeah, I get some inspiration from there also because there are so many really creative people out there. So everything together can bring you inspiration and ideas. And I think we do not have to be afraid to copy something, or it's almost impossible to copy. I don't know if you ever tried. Sometimes we have these competitions where they say, okay, let's try to make a photo in the style of Ansel Adams or Joel Meyerowitz. It's so difficult. You will not succeed. So even if you wanted to copy something, I'm sure you will not really copy it. You will bring your own style into the photo. So the important thing is just go out and play with the camera and spend a lot of time with it. I really try hard now to allow more emotions in my photos because I have a scientific background. I'm a PhD in biology, so I am forced to document what I see. No emotions allowed at all. And I'm not sure, maybe some of you also have some jobs where you really have to be very reduced, just descriptive. And I think it's really important to bring emotions and create stories, ask questions with your photos. So where am I today? I still go on with very colorful pictures. I like to invent a new series. In this case, I was just visiting my family, and I saw these big flamingos. There's one over there also. And I like the colors, and I started a little series on this. Maybe I continue it, but this is just for fun. It's not something really profound. It's really a good way to spend my holiday, if you want. And then I like these flashy colors, where I play around with light and with colors. And what I started to do recently, and which I enjoy a lot, is to do a bit more conceptual work. So this was a project that came to life because we were invited as a group of photographers from Nice. We were invited to go to Nuremberg and present something about the theme of habits, the habits, whatever habit. And I was thinking, what could I do with habits? And so I came back to my biological background, and I want to save the world and want to get rid of plastic. And so I tried to find a way of presenting plastic in a nice way. And so I collected the plastic from the beach, I cleaned it, and I did this photo project. And that's something that gives me a lot of satisfaction because it has a more, it's not just a series of street photography. This is less street photography, obviously, but it's something that is a bit more maybe intellectual, maybe artistic, and yeah, that's the way to evolve and to change. Okay, I described all of this in these two books, but that's not the purpose why I'm here. So I thank you very much for your attention. And if you have questions.
Hast du mir eine Angela?